talk about ride and handling. I've knocked it back into hybrid, which gives us comfort suspension. And as we know, this particular car, the 50e, comes standard with BMW's air suspension, which is presumably the same system that was on that wonderful X5 30D I had about 3 months ago. I remember saying in that video that the ride quality of that car was sublime, one of the best ever. And although this isn't uncomfortable, it definitely feels different. And that's confusing because we have the same 21-inch wheels, we have the same tyres, but it must be calibrated and set up slightly different. This 50e does weigh an extra 200 kilos compared to the 30D, so maybe they've had to stiffen everything up to control that weight. And that also translates to handling. So now we'll put it into sport. Pull that for sports automatic. Pull paddle. As we know, it's very fast in a straight line. Really, really quick. It stays nice and flat through corners, but I can just feel that extra mass. And the ride again feels a little bit edgier, a little bit firmer, which you could argue is good and bad for handling. But as a whole, it definitely feels, in hybrid or in sport, like it's managing more weight and more mass, which it is. But you wouldn't think it was only 200 kilos. To me, it feels 350, 400 kilos heavier. It just doesn't deal with its weight as well as the 30D, and that's a little bit of a disappointment. It's still amazing when you consider how big and heavy this car is and all the technology, including the hybrid systems that it has beneath its skin, but it's not as engaging or fun to drive as the 30D, and you probably wouldn't expect a diesel to be more fun and engaging than an X5 with a B58 in it. But that extra weight definitely is noticeable and does slightly ruin the ride and slightly ruin the handling. But I am nitpicking here because that 30D was close to perfect in terms of ride quality, so I wasn't expecting it to be any better, but I was hoping that it would at least match it. What's my verdict? Well, if you're after a large, practical, luxury plug-in hybrid, look no further. This is as good as it gets. Certainly the best and most convincing hybrid that I've ever tried and tested. And that includes BMW's very own 550e, which I tried a few weeks ago. That's their new 5 Series with essentially the same running gear. To me, this is a better package, and they cost about the same. But if you don't need the hybrid running gear and electrical only energy, my money would still go on the brilliant 30D. It's about £8,000 less. It has a longer overall range of about 700 miles compared to this car's 500 miles. And although on paper it looks slower and maybe underpowered compared to this, in reality, that diesel lump is just magic. It has power and torque absolutely everywhere and makes light work of the X5. As you can probably tell, I'm still missing that wonderful 30D that I had earlier this year. Really is